I have cancer. I don't have long to live. The doctor told me I have 3 months left. I plan to leave my entire estate to my husband. I have already contacted a lawyer to get the notarization started. The day I wrote my will, someone couldn't wait any longer. My former classmate from university suddenly came to see me. She had found out from somewhere that I was dying. She mocked me. Emily, don't worry. I will take care of Lucas for you and the child I'm carrying with Lucas. Sophia is standing in front of my house. My head is buzzing. My ears suddenly start ringing. She says she's pregnant with Lucas' child, and that after I die, she and Lucas will be able to live together, forever. I hold on to the door to keep from falling. I ask her, trembling, when did this happen between you? When did you? Sophia smiles more brightly as she sees how unsteady I am, her red lips curling up into an even more gorgeous smile. Emily, how could you be so stupid? My first time I gave it to Lucas when we were at university. To be honest, if it weren't for the fact that you're such a pitiful orphan, Lucas would have abandoned you long ago and been with me. Lucas is a good person too. He's looked after you all these years. Now that you're going to die, finally Lucas will be able to live a normal life. It turns out that in Lucas's eyes, marrying an orphan like me made him feel like an abnormal person. Seeing that I had been standing there dumbfounded and not saying a word, she felt rather bored. She turned around and walked into the elevator. I stood at the door. I watched the elevator door close. Sophia's lips, which were curled up in a smile, uttered 3 silent words. Die quickly. I closed the door. I couldn't hold on any longer and collapsed to the ground. My phone suddenly rang. After I answered it, I heard that familiar voice in my ear. Emily, baby, what are you doing? Honey, I bought you your favorite roast squab from that New York City restaurant today. I waited in line for over an hour. It's still hot. I'll be home soon. My tears fell silently. I held the phone away from my ear. I took a deep breath. I asked tentatively, honey, do you remember Sophia? She came to visit today. The voice on the other end of the line suddenly stopped smiling. Lucas's voice had never sounded so unfamiliar. Why did she come looking for you? What did you say to her? His tone was full of anxiety and involuntary panic. I felt like I had a lump in my throat. A huge shock and heartache ripped my soul apart. Honey, I'll explain everything when I get back. No matter what, Sophia definitely didn't mean to upset you. I was more than just upset. The woman outside was pushing her way in with a pregnant belly. He even went out of his way to take the side of the mistress. I interrupted him before he could say anything else. I got straight to the point. Sophia said she was pregnant with your child. She wants me to step down and let her take over. Lucas, when did you find out I had cancer? The phone call was suddenly cut off. The door's combination lock was pressed open. A tall figure slowly covered me as I sat on the floor. Emily, since you already know everything, you still called to test me. I have served you for so many years. Now you are going to die. Do you want me to spend the rest of my life alone and never marry again for you? Sophia has been waiting for me for many years. If it wasn't for this time when you were found to be ill, she wouldn't have impulsively come to find you. I hope you don't blame her. Instead of blaming her, you might as well blame me. I looked at him with teary eyes. This man I have loved for 10 years. How can I understand every word, every sentence? I don't understand. Why can't I even bear it for a month? Why do I have to know such a cruel thing when I'm about to die? Just let me die in the lies that Lucas has carefully fabricated for me over the past 10 years. Can't I just die with a smile on my face? God took my parents away from me 30 years ago. Now not only does he want to take my life, he also wants to take my love. Lucas saw that I was just silently crying without saying a word. A trace of pain filled his eyes. After all, we have been together for so many years. He came up to me and put his arms around me. I twisted away. I was disgusted, but he ignored my struggle. He put his arms around my waist. He kissed me on the ear. A gentle kiss. Emily, I'm sorry, I know you're upset, but Sophia is pregnant with my child. You know how much I want a child. We've been trying for so many years, but there's been no news. I never thought Sophia would be so successful. I can't let her down. Don't worry. After the baby is born, I'll take him to your grave to pay my respects. I'll ask you to be his godmother. I was wide-eyed. I couldn't believe what I had heard. Lucas, you really know how to make someone sick. You cheated on me with a woman and had a child with her, and now you want to wait until I'm dead, then come to my grave with the child of your mistress and ask me to be his godmother. I thought about what Sophia had just said. They had been together since college. Lucas had not stopped seeing her even after I got married. I was forced to stay in his arms. What was originally the most trusted and familiar embrace became a cage of lies. It imprisoned me for a whole 10 years. Lucas has wanted to be a father for a long time, but I know Lucas is definitely not the father of Sophia's baby, because Lucas can't possibly have a child. Dinner naturally ended in discord. The roast squab that Lucas had queued up for was thrown into the trash can by me. I was determined to sleep in a separate room from him. I didn't want him to dirty my bed. Perhaps it was because he could see that I was dying. Lucas was more patient with me than ever before. The little squabbles I had before I died. He didn't care at all. He even asked me when my next checkup was, how long it would be before I was admitted to the hospital. I looked at him with a cold smile, and once again asked him when exactly he knew that I had an incurable disease. He looked at me, trying his best to suppress the impatience in his eyes, and said to me, "Wife, although I did cheat on you, but you don't have any problems, you're in such poor health, you've never been able to have children. You work in our family business. You have nothing to do all day. From top to bottom, this family is made up of nothing but what I've earned. I took your medical report some time ago. I was hoping to see if your health could be improved, so we could have a child." Who knew? He paused. It seemed that he had finally realized that the woman in front of him was a terminally ill patient. "And then you told Sophia the good news." I confronted him. Finally, I saw a hint of guilt on his face. She also accidentally saw it as I stared at him coldly. I decided in my heart to give him a big gift before I left. Back in the room, I took out a hospital report from the secret compartment that I had carefully hidden for many years. The report showed a line of small words in bold. Lucas, male, 23 years old, immune infertility. This is the report from the in-depth examination I had with Lucas during our marriage examination. Lucas found it troublesome. He just threw it at me after the examination. I personally went to collect the test report. He always felt that he was very healthy. At that time, I suggested having a marriage examination, and he found it troublesome. His health has always been very good. There would be no problems at all. At that time, Lucas and I had graduated from university. We were about to enter the hall of marriage. I knew that this marriage examination report would be a fatal blow to Lucas, who had always loved children. I was so in love with Lucas at the time. I thought, even if I don't have children in this life, I will love Lucas for the rest of my life. If the father of the child is not Lucas, then I would rather not have this child. I can't let him know about this. I can't let the person I love suffer for the rest of his life because of this report. I will love Lucas well. Use my love to fill the gap in his life without children. Now it seems. My initial thoughts were really naive enough to make people laugh. Lucas never thought that it was his physical problems that caused infertility. He just blamed it all on me, and tacitly agreed that it was my physical problems. That caused the family to be unable to welcome a child for so long. Now Sophia is pregnant. He is ecstatic. I wonder if one day, when he finds out that he is firmly wearing a green hat on his head, will be as happy as he is now. I tore up the original will, which named Lucas as the heir. I had the property notarized. I intended to donate all the money to a girls' school in the mountains. At the same time, I quickly decided on the nursing home where I would spend the rest of my days. I was not going to undergo chemotherapy in a hospital. That would be too painful. I called the hospital to inform them of my decision. "Emily, aren't you going to reconsider? Chemotherapy is hard, but maybe you can live longer than 3 months. And there are also many targeted therapies for cancer nowadays." I shook my head in my heart. I told my attending doctor firmly I had decided to give up chemotherapy and all troublesome treatments. What's more, I knew if I really decided to go for it and be hospitalized, Lucas would definitely not take care of me anymore. Instead, he would find me a nuisance. I didn't want to passively show my weakest appearance in front of this pair of scoundrels. I wanted to leave with dignity. I won't let Lucas see me for the last time. There are still 2 days left. I will set off for the nursing home. There I will spend my last days in peace. I have decided to go and see my parents one last time. After Lucas and I got our jobs, we moved them to New York City for a proper burial. At the time, I thought, this will be the home for Lucas and me in the future. They must also want to see me happy here. My parents died when I was 1 year old because they saved a young couple who had accidentally fallen into the water. They tragically lost their lives. After that, I became an orphan. The young couple whom my parents had finally managed to rescue disappeared after they were rescued. They didn't even come to my parents' funeral. They didn't even bother to express their gratitude. They never showed up. I was kicked around like a ping-pong ball by all the relatives in the family. Those relatives, with no scruples at all, took all my parents' few possessions. They agreed that each family would symbolically adopt me. They had the local authorities make a simple registration. I was left to fend for myself. I struggled to survive. Luckily, I was a hard worker. I received a scholarship from the time I started high school. I stumbled along, relying on my own strength. I managed to get into university. I studied my favorite subject. I met my lover, Lucas. Because I had experienced the coldness of human nature since childhood, I really longed to be loved. Lucas in college was like a ray of light. It shone into my drowsy and dark world. He was the school's celebrity, the male god in the hearts of many schoolmates. During an activity to work and study together, he and I fell in love at first sight. I couldn't believe that someone like him would love me. After he learned that I was an orphan, he once said to me compassionately, "Emily, I will definitely replace your parents. I will love and take care of you for the rest of your life." On the day he confessed his love, I shed tears of happiness in his arms. I thought I had met a good man who could be with me for the rest of my life, but I never imagined that he was actually an animal in human skin. Tomorrow is the anniversary of my parents' death. Lucas also knows this. He took the initiative to tell me. He has already bought the things. He plans to go with me to see my parents. I don't want this hypocritical man to meet my parents. Lucas, however, is determined to wear this mask of a caring son and husband to the end. I can see that he is still pretending to be warm and caring. I just find it funny. I count down the days until I can leave. The next morning I go downstairs. Lucas puts his arm around my shoulders. We are going to drive to the cemetery to pay our respects to my parents. I really don't want to have any conflicts with him on this day, so I let him do what he wants. Just then, Lucas' phone rings. I was standing very close to him. I could hear the sweet female voice on the phone at once. "Lucas, my stomach hurts a little. I saw a little bit of red this morning. What should I do?" Lucas's originally carefree face suddenly changed. The hand resting on my shoulder quickly withdrew. He held the phone tightly and whispered words of comfort. "Baby, don't worry. I'll be there soon." He didn't even have time to look at me. Lucas opened the car door and quickly rushed to the other woman's side. He had forgotten all about the anniversary of my parents' death. I thought about Lucas's parents. Because we never had children, his mother always gave me a hard time. Many times during the Chinese New Year, in front of all the relatives, she mocked me. She said I was a hen that didn't lay eggs. She said I, an orphan, had a bad aura. No child would be willing to be born into my womb. She said her son was doing charity work by marrying me. If the Anderson family line ends with this generation, I will go down to hell and kneel to their ancestors to apologize, even after I die. I have heard such vicious words for many years. No matter how I was insulted and ridiculed, I have always guarded that secret. Lucas always told me to let his mother be. He said that old people have sharp tongues but soft hearts. He misses his grandparents so much that he can't sleep at night. His words were full of unconditional defense of her sharp-tongued mother. My phone popped up with a message from Lucas. He told me that he wouldn't be coming over today. Sophia's baby was now the top priority. He said he was sure my parents would understand. I looked at the words, which only an animal could have said. I felt that my momentary weakness had been really stupid. The man had been cheating on his wife since university. What else could I expect from him? I pulled out my phone and opened the car-hailing app. I continued with my day's plans. After I finished seeing my parents, in the brisk mountain breeze, I received an unfamiliar MMS. It was the hand of a man with long, slender fingers. The hand was gently resting on a woman's slightly protruding belly. It was gently intertwined with another delicate, snow-white hand. The sight of their tender love for each other was really arousing. If it weren't for the wedding ring on the man's hand, it would be a pair with mine. Just looking at the photo, it makes people think that this must be a loving couple guarding their soon-to-be-born angel together. Of course I know who sent me this photo. Can't wait, can you? Sophia is repeatedly provoking me. She wants me to give up on Lucas as soon as possible. Concentrate on preparing for my own funeral. Her eagerness makes me raise the corners of my mouth slightly. It seems that she is eager to register the baby. Unfortunately, she can't hide it for long. That night, I really had no appetite for dinner. Every time after I had worshipped my parents, I couldn't manage to eat anything. At this time, my door was knocked on. I opened the door. Standing in the doorway was Lucas. He was holding a cup of hot cocoa. He looked at me. His voice was soft. It seemed as if he was afraid of waking me. "Emily, I know you definitely haven't eaten tonight. Drink some while it's still hot. Otherwise, you'll get a stomachache later." I looked at him through the rising steam. His face in the fog looked exactly the same as it had after all these years of marriage, reliable and gentle. But then I thought about the MMS today. I used to be the kind of person who would do anything for the one she loved. Lucas always knew that. Plus, I was an orphan. I didn't have any close family to rely on over the years. Basically, Lucas told me what to do, and I did it. When we first got married, I stayed at home and took care of the household. I kept the household in perfect order. This allowed Lucas to focus on developing his career outside the home. Lucas didn't trust anyone else with the money. He wanted me to help out with the finances. So I took care of the household while learning about finance. I took a bunch of different accounting exams. I didn't want a salary. I worked at Lucas' company. Everyone at Lucas' company praised us as a model couple. They say Lucas has won the lottery by marrying me. I thought he was grateful to me for all I did for him. It's just that I've been feeling unwell in the past 2 years. At the time, I didn't think about cancer. After all, the medical examination report showed that everything was normal. It was just ordinary fatigue. So when I was physically exhausted, I would often work from home. Later, Lucas used the excuse that I wasn't feeling well. He wanted me to recuperate properly. He also took back the power to manage the company's finances. Today, I secretly contacted my former subordinate, who is still working at the company. She told me, Lucas has transferred a lot of money to an account in his personal name over the past 2 years. The account payee is Sophia's mother. There is no obvious deficit in the company's accounts. So where did the money come from? My former subordinate also told me a shocking piece of news. Since 2 years ago, my medical examination reports have never been completely delivered to me. The medical examination reports I saw were all related to the omission. The first-hand reports were sent directly to Lucas's mailbox. It turned out that Lucas knew about my health problems as early as 2 years ago, but he didn't tell me, allowing my condition to deteriorate step by step until now. It's hard to say that this wasn't intentional. Lucas gently pressed the cup of hot cocoa against my face. My thoughts were interrupted. He saw that I wasn't drinking it. He put the cup aside. Then a person slowly squeezed in from the outside, puts his arm around my waist. His lower body presses against me. Emily, honey, I miss you. I take a step back, shaking his hand off. My heart is unmoved. Sophia just got pregnant with your child. You can't help but be in heat again. You want me to take a picture of your current unsatisfied appearance and show it to her. Lucas is stunned. His face flashes with embarrassment and annoyance after I exposed his intentions. Emily, believe it or not, I love you. Even if Sophia gives birth to my child, I will still have a unique place in my heart for you. I watched with interest as he spoke with such eloquence. He was trying to force himself to be respectable. Sophia had cuckolded Lucas with someone else's child. Lucas had used Sophia as a breeding tool, but then he turned to me and became intimate. He even wanted to use me as a casual sex partner to satisfy his physical desires. The way these two plot against each other is a perfect match, but it must be locked up. Don't let it get into the market. I calmly watched him perform. Take a step back and close the door. Say, you don't mind being unlucky. I'm almost dead. You're not afraid after you're done. I'll haunt you after I die. Lucas was obviously poked by my words. His face turned very gloomy. Emily, you're still being stubborn at this point. Don't take yourself too seriously. After you die, I'll still have to help you with the funeral arrangements. After saying that, he walked away. I began to carefully pack away all the things in the room that belonged to me. I didn't want to leave a single trace of me in this cage woven of lies. I quickly planned in my head what I would take with me. After tomorrow, Lucas and I would never see each other again in this life. When I received the call from the airline, I was packing the things I was throwing away. I only had a few things to take with me. Many of the things I needed were available at the nursing home. I didn't want to make too much noise when I left. Lucas might notice. I only took a small carry-on suitcase. The sweet female voice on the phone apologized. Sorry, Emily. Your flight this afternoon has been delayed. We can't give you an exact time yet. There's a severe storm forecasted. All flights will be rescheduled to ensure safety. I sighed inwardly. What a coincidence. It was the very day I planned to leave for good. Bad weather had delayed my departure. I told her I would first cancel the ticket and rebook for another flight. Suddenly, someone came up behind me. It was Lucas. I wondered why he wasn't at the hospital with Sophia. Instead, he frowned at me. What flight? You're going out. You're so sick. Where do you want to go? Lucas looks at me with great vigilance. I am already a dying man. Why is Lucas so on guard against me? I remain calm. I decide to probe him. I tell him that the hospital has informed me there is a targeted therapy plan that has studied my situation. They want me to participate and try it. His face suddenly changes. He smiles weakly. What kind of program is it? It can't be a scam, can it? There is no officially promoted treatment method. You must not try it casually. If the condition worsens, he suddenly stopped talking. Emily, I'm free today. Why don't I accompany you to the hospital? Let's ask what the next treatment course at the hospital is like. I hope you live as long as you can. Maybe. I can see my child being born. I find this incredible. Even if I live, I'm not living to see you cheat on me with other women and have a bastard child, but I want to distract Lucas as soon as possible. I promise to go to the hospital with him. I plan to make something up. At this time, I hear the sound of the front door opening. I feel strange. Apart from Lucas and me, who else has the code to get in? Sophia appears in front of me wearing a yellow floral maternity dress. In fact, she has just started to show. Her figure is still very slim. There is no need to wear such loose maternity clothes. It seems that she wants the whole world to know that she is pregnant. Of course, I know who she's showing it off for. You even gave her the house code. Lucas, I'm not dead yet. You couldn't wait. Lucas' face showed an unprecedented embarrassment. He couldn't say anything to the pregnant Sophia. He had to explain to me. Emily, you know Sophia is pregnant. I'm worried that she might suddenly have an accident or feel unwell and can't find me. So Sophia always looked at Lucas with a smile as she explained to me, with an air of triumphant hostess. Emily, I didn't realize pregnancy was so hard. Maybe the baby in my tummy misses its father whenever Lucas isn't around. I feel sick. I watched this pair of accomplices in perfect harmony. I pulled out the divorce agreement I had prepared long ago and slapped it on the table. Everyone was there today. Lucas, sign it. Sophia looks at the paper, her eyes light up. She looks at Lucas expectantly. Unexpectedly, Lucas looks gloomy. He refuses to sign. Before I can ask a question, Sophia can't hold back any longer. Lucas, sign it. After our baby is born, he can officially join our family. I secretly laugh to myself. I know what Sophia is planning. I just didn't expect Lucas to refuse everything. Emily, you're so sick now. I'll divorce you. What would that make me? I won't abandon you at a time like this and let you go it alone. Something's not right. Why was Lucas so on his guard when I mentioned the possibility of a long trip? Why was he so scared when I made up a story about a possible targeted therapy plan for my illness? He now thinks Sophia is pregnant with his child, and I'm about to die of my illness. He's both the groom and the father. He should be very happy. He should happily sign the divorce papers with me. Why is he so strongly opposed to divorcing me? Sophia is about to have a fight with Lucas. I pretend to be irritated and impatient. I yell at Lucas and Sophia to get out of the house. Take the fight outside. Lucas doesn't suspect a thing. It seems that he is also afraid of me continuing to pursue anything. He half drags Sophia out of the house. I find a number on my phone. I click to call. The phone rang 3 times before it was answered immediately. A clear female voice came from the other end. Emily, why did you think of calling me? I listened to this playful female voice. My eyes welled up. I couldn't help but burst into tears. I poured out everything that had happened to me in a long time. Amelia, I need you to help me investigate something in the evening. Lucas returned home with a big bunch of fragrant roses. He looked at me with deep affection. He gently handed the flowers to me. Emily, I've wronged you today. It was my fault. I've already made things clear with Sophia. She won't appear in front of you again. I won't divorce you. I know I'm having a child with Sophia. I'm sorry. You will always be my wife. I won't allow anyone to take your place. If the roses hadn't happened to cover me from the nose down, my upturned mouth corner would have been captured by Lucas. It's really ridiculous. Lucas, the stage is not set. Why are you acting out if you had truly loved me? You would never have let things develop to this point. There would never have been another woman standing over me with her face close to mine, humiliating me. When a man loves you, he thinks your farts are fragrant. Once he doesn't love you anymore, you hold your heart in your hands and let him trample on it. He will only feel tired and disgusted. I no longer believe a single word Lucas said, not even a punctuation mark. Once I find out what I want to know, I can embark on my own journey without hesitation. Very soon, Amelia handed me a thick stack of documents. We were in a secluded coffee shop. Amelia looked at me with a worried expression. Yesterday, she cried on the phone more than I did. Thinking about this, I couldn't help smiling. Before I left, I realized that there was still someone in this world who genuinely grieved for me and cared about my future. I felt that death was not so scary anymore. Emily, you might as well not read it. Just call the police. This thing makes me want to kill someone. I used my eyes to reassure her. Calmly opened the file. Lucas had taken out a huge medical insurance policy for me. The beneficiary is himself. He replaced the report from my company medical examination 2 years ago. The report at that time already showed signs of cancer somewhere in my body. If the hospital intervenes immediately for treatment, it will definitely not affect life expectancy. But he is insane. He took desperate measures and forged the medical examination report. Let me believe that my body is just temporarily uncomfortable, so that he can get a huge compensation for himself. The truth is so shocking. This person I have been with for 10 years. It's as if I just met him for the first time. Now I'll report him to the police. Lucas' company is about to go public. After learning that the child Sophia is carrying is not his, this career is his last lifeline. I want to strike a fatal blow when he thinks his company can go public. I want to take away everything he has. I want to completely cut off all his escape routes. I put the information back into Amelia's hands. I carefully instructed her on many things. I may not have time to do it myself again. Amelia insists on seeing me off tomorrow. I can't argue with her. Before I go, I place the surprise I've prepared on Lucas' desk. Then I take the few pieces of luggage I have and set off for the sanatorium. When Lucas returns home, the house is very quiet. He is a little puzzled. He remembers what I said yesterday, that I would go to the hospital today to discuss a treatment plan with the doctor. He quickly takes out his phone and dials my number. The familiar ringtone echoes through the empty house. It's my phone. Lucas follows the sound to the study. My phone has long been formatted. I just left the SIM card in. It's on the desk. Underneath is the gift I left for Lucas. He picks it up. His lips move. He mumbles. His eyes widen. He screams. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. He storms out of the house and rushes to the nearest hospital. His panic scared the nurses, who thought he had a terminal illness. When he finally got his hands on the latest hospital report, he couldn't take his eyes off it. He looked like a marionette that had been drained of all its energy. His face was pale. He couldn't even hold onto the thin hospital report. It slipped to the floor. Lucas's eyes turned bloodshot. He gnashed his teeth and shouted out a name that smelled of blood. Sophia. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see this for myself. Early this morning, with the morning sun, I rushed to the nursing home where I had an appointment. It is located in a beautiful setting, with a great view of the mountains and the river. The staff spoke in a soft voice. I could imagine spending the rest of my life here. It would be very pleasant. Amelia once persuaded me to stay by deliberately hiding his wife's illness and taking out huge insurance policies to cheat the insurance company. He sent himself to prison, combined with the fact that he had just learned that he was unable to have children. Sophia's baby was a bastard from God knows where. It drove him completely mad. But I don't want to see this man even once again. I hope that my remaining days will be filled with birdsong and flowers. I will be surrounded by nature. I will pass away in this place of peace and tranquility, reunited with my parents. But what I didn't expect was that, after I checked into the nursing home for a full physical examination, cautiously invited me to their director's office. Emily, there is a situation. I feel I must let you know. Our hospital has actually always had more aggressive treatment methods for cancer. For your condition, we recommend that you try the BO3 inhibitor. We have also achieved remarkable clinical results with this inhibitor. It can effectively extend the survival period of patients with various types of cancer. Of course, we cannot promise how long it will extend, but we all agree that you can try it. It was really a ray of hope. I thought the rest of my life was just a slow death. Unexpectedly, God gave me a second chance. I interrupted the doctor, who was still talking enthusiastically and trying to persuade me, and said loudly, I'm willing to try. I stayed in the sanatorium for 4 months. During this time, I established a file at the local hospital. I always cooperated with the hospital's treatment. Combining the regimen given by the sanatorium, I worked hard at it, and I lived until the following spring. This was well beyond the deadline that the hospital had given me when they issued the critical illness notice. I was already very content. That day, I finished my routine checkup and treatment at the hospital. I walked out the front door. I saw an unexpected person. It was Sophia. By the time she should be about to give birth, But looking at her belly, it didn't look like she was pregnant. She saw me walking out. She shouted, "Emily, I'm going to kill you. You gave me back my child." She rushed over. Her clothes were in tatters. Her cheeks were sunken in. She was gaunt and pale. Her appearance was nothing like the beautiful and delicate woman she had been before. Her crazed expression really scared passers-by. Soon, the hospital's security guard rushed over. "Where is Lucas? He promised me he would be home today. Where is Lucas? You give me Lucas back. Why did you harm my child? Why, I want to have a baby with Lucas." Ha 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 ha. She suddenly lifted her skirt with the 2 fingers she could still move. All she could say was that she wanted to have a baby. She looked like she was out of her mind. I watched her cry and laugh at the same time. Drool was dripping from the corner of her mouth. She was talking incoherently. I didn't know where she had thrown the shoes on her feet. It seemed like she really had a mental problem. I watched the woman who had been promptly restrained by the security guards. This farce no longer stirred my emotions. Lucas' downfall was largely due to Amelia. After I left New York City, Amelia found a colleague of mine from the finance department. She asked her to get Lucas drunk at a dinner party. Then she coaxed him into signing the divorce papers. He even put his personal seal on it. At the same time, Amelia reported to the police in the form of an anonymous letter. She said that the CEO of a well-known financial company in New York City was suspected of concealing his wife's illness and killed his wife to claim the insurance. Lucas is a young and successful young entrepreneur in New York City. He has even been on TV. His public image has always been that of a mature, hardworking family man. This time, he has fallen into the gutter. His mask has been brutally torn off. This has caused public outrage. The whole of New York City is shaken. Lucas has not even had time to wait for the silver handcuffs. He almost died from the public's scorn. He was quickly taken away for investigation. It's a good thing we didn't investigate. Once we did, we found out Lucas was also suspected of money laundering through loan sharking. He had ruined countless families. Lucas's life was almost over. The company's power had been taken away from him. I gathered everyone from my own team back together, which Lucas had deliberately disbanded. I completely restructured the company. I operated remotely from the city where the sanatorium was located. A group of people worked together. We put the company in order. We completely revamped it. At the end of this year, our company will be ready for the stock market. Amelia said the day he was taken away from the company in handcuffs, he kept crying and calling my name. He apologized to me with tears in his eyes, begging for my forgiveness. He said it was his fault that I died. He immediately went downstairs to apologize to me. He said he has been unable to sleep or eat for so long, but I have never entered his dreams. He is thinking about it like crazy. He regrets it. He thought I had already passed away. Unexpectedly, at the end of his life, I heard his sincere confession. However, my heart did not stir. I watched the security guard drag Sophia away. From her intermittent and incessant curses, I could not tell whether she hated me more or Lucas more. I knew early on how miserable her life was. After learning that he would never be able to impregnate a woman in his life, found Sophia that day, he almost strangled Sophia to death. The last shred of his sanity made him stop. He dragged Sophia to the hospital. He threatened to tell the world who the father was if she didn't abort the baby. Sophia was so scared that she kept crying and screaming, but she refused to tell who the man was who made Lucas a cuckold. During the struggle between the two, Sophia miscarried in her excitement and shock. In the end, Sophia was unable to keep the baby. Suddenly, someone behind me put a warm coat on me. I looked back. It was my current boyfriend, Nathan. He looked at me with concern. His eyes scanned my body like an X-ray. I smiled and pushed him, telling him I was fine. The second month of my treatment here, I met Nathan. He is my attending physician. He is also the leading researcher on suppressants. At first, he treated me like his experimental subject. Before long, I became the object of his pursuit. In the end, I turned him into the object of mine, without any prefix. Nathan embraced me, looking at the figure that had been dragged away. He let out a soft sigh. Unconsciously, he stroked my head. He didn't say anything, but it seemed like he had said 1,000 words. I tilted my head to the side, buried it in his arms, breathing deeply the reassuring air. The spring sunshine was just right. My loved ones and friends are by my side. My life has been given a brand new lease of life. This time I will seize it. I will once again be the master of my own life.